Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, there's been a very busy week. Finally, after COVID, we've seen some political action. But what political action this has been? Once again, the Congress party is in the headlines, this time for its government in Rajasthan. Can the Congress save, probably the Congress will save its government, but the Sachin Pilot revolt has raised a lot of questions on the workings of the Congress party, what it means to be a Gen X leader in the Congress. Is Rahul Gandhi finally going to try and put his house in order, or will we see more such rebellions and revolts? So to discuss the state of the Congress, I have with me a panel. I have Pawan Khera, national spokesperson of the Congress party. We have Pawan Verma, he's an ex-JDU leader and a politician at large. Veer Sanghvi, ex-editor, columnist and political commentator. Rashid Kidwai, he is the author of 24 Akbar Road. Pawan Khera, first I'll begin with you. You know, what is happening in your party? I don't want to talk about the immediate happenings, but the larger message from Sachin's revolt.
In every living organization, a vibrant organization, such reinventions, such re-articulations of our positions on various important issues constantly takes place, and it's not always smooth. There are times when there are visible upheavals, and I guess that's what keeps an organization afloat, living, and in tune with changing times. So there are times when there is a clash of ideas, there is a clash of egos, if you may. There is a clash of aspirations, ambitions, all kinds of clashes that take place between two generations, between two different individuals, two groups. That happens all along in any, I repeat, living organization. And that makes us on our toes, that helps us learn lessons, that helps us change with changing times. I guess that's what is happening, and I'm very happy that it's happening in wide public view.
Veer, is it as simple as that? It's part of the Congress democracy, the culture that these differences of opinions happen. They happen, but at this level and on the front page headlines?
Well, to be fair to Pawan and to the Congress has always had a struggle within itself. It's not a very well-organized party. It's always been the kind of party where people revolt. It's not the BJP-like monolith. The American comic Will Rogers used to say, "I'm not a member of any organized political party. Pause. I am a Democrat." I think if you said, "I'm not a member of any organized political party, I'm a congressman," that would probably work for the Congress. But look, the way you can really see this one of two ways. You can see this Sachin's way, which is that he worked very hard, he won the election for them, he was promised many things by Rahul, he wasn't made chief minister, he's been cut down to size by Gehlot, he's had humiliation after humiliation in economy. That's one way. The other is the Congress way, which is that we did everything for him. He was a minister at 31. What more did he want? Why couldn't he wait? He's been, in any case, going behind our backs and negotiating with the BJP. So what kind of guy is this? So in both versions, regardless of which you believe, Rahul and the Congress come off badly. In Sachin's version, obviously they come off badly. But in the second version, in which you say that he was a treacherous guy and he didn't believe in the idea of India and he believed in the BJP ideology, he was negotiating with them. What does this say about Rahul's judgment of people? What does it say about this generation of congressmen who on the whole tend to be dynamic, one of whom has already joined the BJP, one of the leading ones, and the other one, the Congress, has been negotiating with the BJP all along. The claim of Rahul Gandhi and people like of his generation is that they are presenting an alternative, a liberal alternative to the BJP's vision of India. Well, guess what? Yeah, your guys don't believe that. They're all negotiating with the BJP. Either way, it doesn't look good.
Pawan, that's really your biggest problem, fear, that there is no opposition. You left the JDU. You were not happy with what Nitish Kumar was doing with the BJP. Now the opposition space, there's a Congress-shaped hole really where the opposition should be, and that's worrying for you as someone from the opposition, isn't it?
Well, certainly the country needs a credible democratic opposition. The Prime Minister himself said that he would like to see one.
If you believe it.
And I empathize with what Pawan Khera said, that every party has to reinvent itself, and the Congress is going through a lived experience of trying to do it. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to beat around the bush, Priya. There is a systemic problem in the Congress today. And that is It's acceptance of the hyphenation between democracy and dynasty. In 1959, Jawaharlal Nehru was asked by a hostile media about Indira Gandhi, who had just been made the president of the Congress party. And Nehru's reply was that he is mentally opposed to this idea and that he was never grooming her for succession. You can discount what Nehru said or believe him, but this was his public response. Compare the Congress of today with the Congress of those days. First, give me a minute or two to just answer this. Look at the quality of debate between Mahatma Gandhi and Nehruji. The letters are in public domain. There was complete disagreement on issues, and yet it was done with civility and mutual respect. Look at the correspondence between Subhash Chandra Bose and Jawaharlal Nehru, or between Sardar Patel and Jawaharlal Nehru, even between Nehru as Prime Minister and Rajendra Prasad as President. See, this party was known for being wedded to a certain inner party democratic discourse. Now that began to asphyxiate over time. And you had the situation, we are all familiar with recent history, Indira Ji, otherwise a charismatic leader, grooming Sanjay. After Sanjay, Rajiv Gandhi gets parachuted, he becomes Prime Minister straight away. And after his untimely tragic death, you have had from 1991 a situation where either de jure or de facto power lies in the possession of one family. And I'd say this not by taking advantage of hindsight, I say it for the future of the Congress. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi became a primary member of the Congress party in 1997. When Pawan talks about reinvention, I think the first thing you have to understand is that this hyphenation of democracy and dynasty is now unsustainable today. Now, in the case of Rajasthan, in my view, with a more responsive quote-unquote high command, or even in the case of Madhya Pradesh, I would say even in the case of Karnataka, forget what the BJP is doing, fishing in troubled waters, which any opposition party will do. The crisis was brewing for months. I'm personally aware of it. From all of the main persona are friends of all of us. But what was the level of conflict resolution? What was the level of response to the fact that there could be danger and it needs to be treated in time? Sachin Pilot could only meet the General Secretary in charge of Rajasthan, who took no action.
No, but I think Sachin did have access, so I'm not sure what that point.
He did have access, but did it materialize in any form of efficient or effective intervention? So I'm saying to you, the time has come. I think India needs it as well. For the Congress party to seriously introspect as to whether it can continue to have a situation where a family is disproportionately preponderant, holds power without responsibility very often, and frankly cannot be held accountable too. You lose two elections, there's not a single meeting to analyze why.
Right. Rashid, let's look at a date, August 10th. That's when Sonia Gandhi's interim, or August 20th, you have the right date. Her interim presidentship is going to finish in 1 year. Rahul Gandhi, on record, has said, I don't want to be the president. I wanted to be out of the family. Do you think now, after Sachin's rebellion, this dynasty democracy hyphenation that Pawan talks about can be changed?
I think it's, there are two ways of looking at it. One is what Congress people want and what, rest of India or television studios or social media wants. There is a real consensus in Congress party that the top leadership should be with the Nehru Gandhi family, members of Nehru Gandhi family. I believe that when Rahul Gandhi resigned in May 2019 as Congress president, he was very sincere and he put all conditions. And the only thing what the family did, or for the better tangent but did, was not to take any initiative. And in the absence of initiative, Congress party people were not able to come up with an alternative. And finally, Sonia Gandhi reluctantly had to become interim president. Now the term of interim president is ending. So now it is again for Rahul, and whole party wants Rahul to take over. The struggle in Congress is for other positions. See, the people don't get this. See, people are unhappy with Congress in that perceived hierarchy after Gandhi's. So if there is a CWC election in a transparent manner, that actually the popularity within the Congress and that kind of hierarchy will be established. So the whole internal struggle in Congress is about posts and positions which don't belong to the members of Nehru Gandhi family. In this context, in Rajasthan's context, you see that both parties have been at fault. It is very simple for Mr. Sachin Pilot to profess loyalty to the leadership, to the Congress leadership, and get away with it, whether legally or politically. But he's not doing it. And you look at the other side, the Congress party high command, whether it's, Mr. Chidambaram or Ghulam Nabi Azad or Ahmed Patel or Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, we keep hearing every day on Twitter that someone or other has spoken to Sachin Pilot. What is preventing, and it's a very good opportunity for Priyanka Gandhi. I can understand both Rahul and Sonia having some kind of organizational constraint to reach out to Sachin. But what is preventing Priyanka Gandhi from taking a lead? This will show her in a very good light. Because if she is able to bring any kind of, rapprochement between the two leaders, or, if Sachin is taken out of Rajasthan, there are many solutions which are possible. But nobody is taking that initiative. It looks like as if the entire Congress party is going through the motions and they want him out.
Pawan, do the siblings, Pawan Khera, sorry, do the siblings want Sachin Pilot out? Because we've heard one theory that they are trying to keep him in and there is an old guard. But more importantly, what do we expect in August 10th? Do you think there will be a change of guard, or is Sonia going to keep continuing? The old guard will prevail once again?
First of all, Priya, dynasty is more of a television issue. It's not an issue for the country. It never was. They keep trying this artificial construct against the Congress. It keeps collapsing. I mean, I remember the
narrative has won, Pawan.
There are various reasons why it won. We are one of the reasons, but that's not the issue. The issue is it's not something which came in the way of our winning elections at all. In fact, people have no problem with it. It's only some political pundits who may have a problem with it, and so be it. They may welcome to their opinion. The most powerful organization, ruling organization today in the country is the RSS. Let's face the truth. Much more than the BJP, the Congress, all of them put together. What is the structure in RSS? 10 or 12 families, old families, they throw up the next Sangh Pramukh. They decide who will be what. In the BJP, they decide who will be what. Within the RSS, they decide everything.
So Congress is following the RSS model.
The name of those 10 families. No, I would hate the comparison. I'm just saying, people don't even know the names of those 10 families. They control our destinies without facing the elections. They don't face elections. Reshim Bagh mein 15 parivar rehte hain. They don't face a single election, but they decide my destiny and yours. But we have a problem with Gandhis who face elections, who face all the absolute ridicule that comes their way from the popular narrative these days. We face everything. We face all the tests of democracy, and we are here fighting for the country, fighting for the values of democracy. Yet we face these questions. Fair enough. This is part of our struggle. We have no problem with these questions.
And what is going to happen next month? Is Sonia going to continue?
Decide. We have our mechanisms. Now, first, Mr. Verma says that, it's a family which is controlling. Then he says that Sachin could only meet the General Secretary. Mr. Verma, it's not a family which is controlling anybody's destiny in the Congress, believe you me. There are systems in place. There is a coordination committee of which Sachin Pilot and his supporters are also members. There is a General Secretary in charge who acts as a bridge between the state and the central leadership. Sometimes these systems collapse. Sometimes they fail. And that's when the central leadership, in this case, acted through sending some observers, Mr. Makan and Mr. Randeep Surjewala and Mr. K.C. Venugopal. So we have systems in place. The same family which you keep cursing for being there, you also keep cursing them for not acting. They have put systems in, we have as a party put systems in place. Even the Congress president cannot defy those systems. After all, how else will this organization, we claim that we are 135 years old. There is a reason why we have survived all the onslaughts from within and without. So please analyze when you say dynasty, family control. Look at what's happening everywhere else, and you'll find the Congress as the most democratic of all organizations. And it is at times a problem for us.
We should shift a little bit from the dynasty argument.
Actually, I want to stick with
Yes.
dynasty, Priya, because I think
Okay.
there's quite a lot to be said about dynasty.
Okay,
That
let's
the
hear.
Gandhis as a dynasty have dominated the Congress is indisputable. I think matters came to a head during the emergency when Mrs. Gandhi began to be dependent on Sanjay, didn't trust anyone after Sanjay died, and forced Rajiv to enter politics. There was a good chance it would have ended there, because Rajiv's wife, Sonia Gandhi, hated politics, wouldn't allow politicians into the house, kept herself aloof. When Rajiv was assassinated, the Congress party offered her the post of president and therefore prime minister. Narasimha Rao took it, became prime minister. She stayed out of politics. Narasimha Rao was succeeded by Kesari, who begged her to campaign, which she finally agreed, begged her to join politics. She didn't. She joined politics at the very end, as Pavan correctly says, only just becoming a member of the Congress party, because she said, she has this in an interview, she thought the Congress was collapsing and it was her duty to try and help the Congress. Till that stage, I think it made sense. Nobody saw her as greedy or power hungry. Even when Rahul joined, many criticisms were made of dynasty. Rahul, for instance, I don't know if anyone even remembers, launched a whole program of internal elections for the Congress party. He got
Didn't do any
former
good.
election commissioners involved. He said all party posts should be elected. He used the phrase, I want to create a pipeline through which young leaders who are not from dynastic families come up the hard way. That whole experiment failed, and he ended up depending on the pilots and the Sindhyas and the sons of Mrs. Gandhi's minister. So my point is that the conscious attempt by the Congress, at least during UPA 1, to move away from dynasty. The real difference between the way the BJP has attacked the Congress under Vajpayee and Advani and the way it attacks it now is dynasty. If you listen to BJP supporters, to the caricature on WhatsApp, the Gandhis are like the Marcoses or the Duvaliers, some nasty, greedy family that controls everything in India, that has made hundreds of millions from scams, that sends the money abroad, where the son-in-law becomes rich, the son becomes a successor. If the son is not doing well, the daughter is involved. I mean, this is clearly absurd and idiotic caricature. But it works because the Gandhis have stopped saying that dynasty is a bad thing. Rahul is no longer talking about elections and finding leaders from outside. Mrs. Gandhi is no longer talking about how reluctant she was to enter politics. So if you are going to say the Congress is part of dynasty, well, yes and no. Dynasty actually had gone down in the Congress when Mrs. Gandhi came. Unfortunately, it's back in a big way within the Gandhis. And that is one reason why Modi gets away with spreading all kinds of stories about it.
Well, Pavan, I think your dynasty argument, Pavan Verma, is working. But
No, I'd like to, sorry, but
Yeah.
If you look at the cabinet of Mr. Modi and count the number of dynasts, I don't know why, for a lady who refused the Prime Minister's position in 2004, since 1989, you haven't had a single Gandhi as a Prime Minister. Several Congress-led or Congress-supported governments. So I think it's more of an excuse to attack the Congress. And it doesn't work when it comes to the elections. There are other reasons why we lose elections or we win elections. There are a host of other reasons. But you cannot criticize the Congress party just because of this, because it's our party's decision. It's an internal decision of our party. We like our leadership. We want our leadership to continue. I mean, I don't see how it becomes a problem for the outside world, just as it is not a problem for the outside world what happens in Reshim Bagh, how they control our destinies. I don't see why. This is more transparent. This is, it faces the elections every now and then, every 5 years. Fine.
you have
I mean,
an outside
can't
world
really
shaking his
have a
head.
problem.
I'll ask the other Pavan to take you on that. Why are you so hassled then that the Congress hasn't got its leadership right?
I don't want
As
to
a concerned
comment on
citizen.
that. If Pavan's argument is that this is our internal matter, then none of us have any.
No. I mean, we are free to discuss it. No,
Because
please.
we are discussing about a national institution. It was the largest party, the mother of all parties. It is today the largest opposition party. And I believe for a democracy, its health and internal democratic vibrancy is important. Now you can say everybody wants, as Rashid ji was saying, the Gandhis to continue. I don't think that proposition has been tested. What happens is that when a family is ensconced and there is no alternative through internal structural means of it being challenged, then there is within parties, and certainly this is an evidence in the Congress, a great deal of sycophantic acquiescence to the leader. And this happens, and I think that is very, very different from the ethos the Congress promised to the nation in 1947 and afterwards. Now, to compare it with what the RSS is doing, that's a separate discussion. In fact, the Congress's biggest criticism has been that the RSS is opaque. Now, surely you can't justify what is happening in the Congress by comparing it to what is happening in the RSS and how the leader is selected. I'm saying, Pawan, listen to me carefully. I admire your passion and your abilities to defend the party and in this case, the Gandhi family. I'm saying to you, please look at the ways that you can genuinely work towards change and reinvent the party. The party is in need of change and reinvention. You will have to be a particularly impassioned ostrich to not understand that there is need for change. Now, one of the ways of bringing change is to allow the sunshine of democracy to come into the party. Mr. Rahul Gandhi has not been held accountable for his organizational weaknesses. And in fact, in my view, if you ask me as a citizen, I'm not a member of any party now, for the substance and gravitas that needs to be shown to work as the voice of the opposition, which he has been doing, whether against in the China matter or the Corona matter. There is a reason why the Congress party needs to understand that there is a time to change and there is a time to defend the past. You must distinguish between the two. Otherwise, what happens with organizations is that because of the inertia of the past, the momentum of what is as being the best, they ossify. They don't change enough. And you are not willing to accept the need for change. You see the results of 2014 and 19. You see the track record in many states where you won and where you have again lost. You see how the issue was developing in the case of Jyotiraditya and how it was developing in the case of Sachin Pilot. It was the most well-kept secret within the Congress party that there is a problem brewing there. But I just want to say a party needs to be far more responsive, far more alert, far more preemptive, far more capable of anticipation, far more capable of counseling, of intervening at the right time. And it's not only about crisis management. I say, what's the vision for the future? Where is the organizational change the party needs? Who has initiated it? Has it permeated grassroots levels? What happened to your previous grassroots connect? You don't have cadres in important states like UP. You know that more than me.
I think you're touching a raw nerve. That is where Priyanka is. Pawan, you want to hear what Rashid said and come back? Or you?
Yeah, because if it's a discussion on the Congress, the only representative of the Congress gets the minimum time is not fair.
So you will get the last word. Let me bring in what Rashid and Pawan Verma said it to you earlier.
Mr. Pawan Verma is welcome to join the Congress. I mean, that's not the issue. Then we'll have two Pawans defending the Congress. But right now,
but the problem with Pawan Verma is, which I've said to him earlier, is when he's with the NDA, he criticizes the BJP. Now that he's out of it, he's criticizing the Congress. So first, you have to give Pawan the right script.
Probably you're making a testimony to my objectivity.
Achha. Okay, well said. Rashid, I want to ask you the question that I wanted to ask Veer, which is that there is a problem, right? The second rung of leaders, dynasty is there to stay, but the dynasty also brings with the second rung. All the leaders today are there during Rajiv's time, during Sanjay's time. Gehlot himself, Ahmed Patel, Huda, Digvijay. Who are the class of 2004 with Rahul? Where are they? Where is Sandeep Dixit, Milind Deora, Jitin Prasad, Sindhya is out, RPN Singh is in the wilderness. There is no leader that Rahul, tell me one leader, Ashok Tawar, Ajay Makhan, nobody. They're all missing. That's where Rahul fails.
Yeah, that brings us to a question. See, what happened when Congress was in power between 2004 to 2014? How many congressmen left Congress? So, you see, if Sonia Gandhi's leadership or Rahul's style of functioning was not good, or there was lack of, internal democracy, lack of dialogue, transparency, whatever you want to say, you see, everyone kept quiet because, you see, we must understand the relationship between leader and regional satraps or important people is that of, it's transactional. It, as long as Congress was winning elections, as long Gandhis could give them power, you see, it was all fine. Now everyone is finding fault. Nobody says, including Mr. Pawan Verma, that no Indian political party is, has enough. I would stand corrected if and you see, if Gandhis have to be challenged, it is for the Congress party to.
I agree.
I think, Mr. Verma, with due respect to you, you are falling prey to what the BJP wants you to fall prey on. They attack the Gandhis because they know the moment the Gandhis are down, that's the end of the Congress party. That's the end of a credible opposition.
Okay.
And if we fall into that narrative, fair enough. I mean, God save the country. With absolute humility, I'm saying that.
Okay, quickly, Pawan, then I want to wrap it up.
So very quickly, if my dear friend Pawan Khera is convinced that the Gandhis are ordained to run the Congress party in perpetuity because of the love the party bears for them and the complete indispensability the family has for the organization, I wish him well.
Okay.
But I want to tell him, just last point.
Don't tell him something that will provoke him. I don't have
No,
to.
because I'll have to then respond because that's,
Okay.
I won't say one answer.
Okay, then can I give the last word to Veer, who will not. We just to sum up the
Nobody
debate.
is ordained, Priya.
No,
Nobody is
okay.
ordained. We
I'm
all
not letting
face
him have the last word. I'm not letting you have the last word.
Issues,
Okay.
we face debates
Fair
within the
enough, Pawan.
organization. Nobody is ordained.
Fine. Veer Sanghvi, last word. The Gandhis, as Pawan has made it very clear, there are our problem. We live with it. You have.
No, they are not a problem. Sorry.
Okay, there are.
I never said they are a problem. Don't
There are our blessings. Okay, there are ours. We live with it.
We are
There
proud
are-
of our leadership. We are
Okay.
proud of the fact that Rahul Gandhi
Okay.
puts up a great fight every day, morning to evening. He inspires us all. I'm
There are our
absolutely
pride
proud of
and
my
we're living
leader.
with it. Is there what your take on this? What does the Congress do next, or what do the Gandhis do next? Because clearly what they're doing is not working.
I think Pawan Khera is right in that if the Congress wants to elect Rahul, Priyanka, Sonia, it's the Congress's problem or the Congress's advantage as he'd probably see it. The problem is that these people in this new avatar get less than 50 seats at every parliamentary election or around 50 seats. So there is a problem. But I think we're all reconciled to the fact that the Congress will not get rid of the Gandhi. But all I ask is that the Congress goes back to UPA 1. When Mrs. Gandhi was head of the Congress, was in a sense a dynast. But this criticism, you had a foreign origin criticism, you never had the dynasty criticism. She turned down the prime ministership. She went out of her way to show respect to Manmohan Singh. She would go to Racecourse Road to meet him. She would see him to the car if they were ever together. Contrast that with somebody who goes into a press conference and tears up an ordinance issued by Manmohan Singh's government. Somebody who acts like he has a divine right to rule. I know Rahul, and he's not like that at all in person. He's actually a very reasonable, bright and thoughtful person. But the way in which he sometimes behaves in public suggests a certain arrogance, a certain right to rule. Unlike his mother, who realized that there was this criticism, the younger generation does not bend over backwards to say, we respect other people. Rahul tried, I concede that, with the elections. But he should now look beyond the dynasts he surrounds himself with, who quickly stab him in the back and then go away, and try and promote genuine leadership.
Okay.
Priya, I'd like to add, I know, just one more line. The fact that he tore the ordinance does not show arrogance at all. He could have picked up the phone. If he was so much in control of Congress, he could have just picked up the phone and spoke his mind against the ordinance.
I think that's the point we were trying to make.
He was absolutely upset with the fact that the ordinance got passed, and I'm sure all of us are against that ordinance.
I don't know. Okay, anyway, I'll let Pawan Khera have the last word. Otherwise, he's not going to let me finish this debate. Thank you so much, all of you. And one, I want to put this on the table. The reason why we don't have a BJP person is I didn't really want to go in for, debate for the, scoring two points.
It was not missed. The absence was not missed.
I think on that, both the Pawans will agree, and that's a good note to end on. Thank you, all of you, for coming in. Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.